Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah, Sada Shiva Samarambham, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Parampara. So today we begin the Shravana Sadhana, a new text, Kenopanishad. In our life, many a times we question ourselves, we wonder when we look at the nature, the world around us, the cosmos, the stars, the moon, the sun, and then of course the fundament is also there. How did all this come about? How did it all happen? And such a grand creation, the cosmos, where do I stand? What is my existence compared to what I perceive with my sense organ? And of course, a life without problem is not possible. Only two entities have absolutely no problem. One is a dead body and the other is yet to be born. Everybody else has a problem. Now, in spirituality, we seek the root cause of the problem. In life, we may have several problems. Health issues may be there, physical health issues, psychological health issues, financial issues, relationship problems. So many problems are there. But here, the root cause of all the problems, that is what we seek. And spirituality is interested in getting to the root of it and then uprooting that so that the problem will cease to exist. Then there is no problem. And when we investigate, then we come to realize that the root of everything is the ego. Ego is the root of everything. If that ego is dissolved, or so to say, ego is destroyed or dissolved, and then there is absolutely no problem. Nothing. That ego is the one which is the obstacle, which is causing all the problem. And this ego is the false self, which I call myself as I. And ego as a reference, the past and the future. The reference for the ego is past and the future. It cannot exclusively survive in the present. See, so it is connected with the past, connected with the future. This mind also doesn't want to be in the present. It keeps moving between the past and the future. The dead past and the unknown future, uncertain future. It keeps oscillating. It doesn't want to remain in the present. Because when we are exclusively in the present moment, we have no problems. Only when the mind moves away from the present to the past or the future, then the problem stands. Ego also cannot survive exclusively in the present moment. Ego is always with reference to the past and the future. So it is like the shadow. But the shadow ends. When does the shadow end? When we are standing in the sun and we see a long shadow. If the sun is behind us, then we see in the front, long shadow is there. So if we have to end that shadow, we have to face the sun. Then we don't see any shadow. So we have to do the right about turn. Now, in spirituality again, now there are two ways. Doing the right about turn, turning around. So that is a seeker's sadhana. That is the Jnana Yoga, turning towards the inner light to obliterate the shadow. Because this is at the root of everything. Irrespective of whatever problems we may have, when the ego is dissolved completely, we have no problems. And this we experience every day. We may have a mountain of problems in the waking plane of consciousness, or sorrows or miseries we may have, miseries, pain we may have experienced in the waking plane of consciousness. And when we enter into the dream state, again, another set of problems will be there, another set of sufferings, miseries, and so on. But as soon as we enter into the deep sleep state, none of the problems, none of the sufferings, sorrows, miseries, or pain of the waking plane or the dream state touches us. This we experience every day. And the difference between these two, waking and the dream state on one side and deep sleep state on the other side, is only an absence of the ego in the deep sleep state. A temporary absence of the ego in the deep sleep state. And irrespective of whatever problems we may have, whatever sufferings we may have in the waking and the dream state, that for a short time, for the duration in which we are in the deep sleep state, it doesn't affect us, it doesn't touch us. Only because temporarily that ego is absent. If we make its absence permanent, whether it is waking, dream, or deep sleep state, if it is made permanent, if ego's absence is made permanent, then of course, none of the problems will touch us. Our wrong identity because of this appearance of the ego, this is causing all the problem. And spirituality is all about dissolving the ego. And the funny part is that it appears in its own absence. That is the difficult thing. It appears to be there, though it is not there. Like the mirage water appears to be there, though it is not there. And this is the funniest part. So, if we have to get rid of the shadow, ego is like a shadow. It has no real existence. So we have to turn towards the inner light. And if turning towards inner light we find difficult, that is the Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge. If that we find difficult, then the next best thing is what? When we are standing against the sun, we have a long shadow. A tall person standing has a long shadow. If he bends, then the shadow becomes half. If he sits, it further reduces. And if he prostrates completely, then there is no shadow. So if we find Jnana Yoga difficult, then the next best thing is that surrender. Prostrate completely to get rid of that shadow. So where when we surrender, then it is all his, not mine. So a bhakta should not have, a bhakta's ego is the weakest one. There will be no ego there in a bhakta who has surrendered completely. Either surrender or no. Turning towards inner light, if one finds it difficult, Then the next best thing is surrender. Prostrate completely, surrender to get rid of that shadow. So, this surrender is also not so easy. Bhakti Yoga is said that it is more convenient, more easy for vast majority of the people. But in Bhakti Yoga also, surrender is also not so easy. Many people may claim themselves to be a bhakta, but the real bhakta is the one who has surrendered completely. And when one surrenders completely, what is the sign that a person has surrendered completely? Then there will be no trace of any worries in the mind. That is a sign of surrender. Whatever may come, that person is not disturbed or worried about anything. The good or bad, whatever it may be, it doesn't matter. So that surrender has to come completely, and that is the only sign. There are no worries. Because surrender and worry cannot go together. So therefore, very few will be the true bhaktas. How you can come across so many bhaktas who will talk about so many of their worries? I am worried about this, I am worried about that. But are you not a bhakta? Yes, I am a bhakta. I am a firm devotee of Lord so and so, whichever Lord, maybe Lord Rama or Lord Krishna or Vitthal or whatever. I am a firm devotee. And yet you have worries. So the surrender is very important in the Bhakti Yoga. Or Jnana Yoga, then you have to put efforts to turn towards the inner light to get rid of that ego, the shadow, which is causing all the problem. So, in Vedanta, the approach to, now in Vedanta, we have to turn towards the inner light. So, approach to Upanishad is only through the mind and the intellect, mana buddhi. So, now the thing is that we have to understand this limitation of mind and intellect. One comes to the path of knowledge only after using his mind and intellect to a great extent in analyzing what is happening around the world, happening around him, around in this world, as well as in his own body, senses, mind, and the intellect, whatever is happening. So, as long as this analysis is required, of course, the mind and intellect equipment is required, no doubt. And to experience the world also, we need to have the sense organs functioning properly and our mind and intellect also. And to analyze this world also, that is required. But then, when we enter the sanctum sanctorum of the inner light, then we have to rise above, transcend the mind intellect equipment. Because with the mind and intellect, we cannot enter the sanctum sanctorum. Like, for example, in the temples also, to enter the sanctum sanctorum, we have to put our shoes out. So both the shoes we have to put out, and then only we can enter the sanctum sanctorum. Similarly, these two shoes of mind and intellect we will have to leave out before entering the sanctum sanctorum of the inner self, the real self. So they have to be left out. And of course, for Vedanta, the Adhikari is required, Sadhan Chatushtai Sampanna Adhikari, and so on. The outer world, now how the sadhaka comes to the spirituality. When we analyze the outer world, now we are experiencing the outer world through the senses, through the mind and intellect. We have got 5 sense organs. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa we experience. The sound, the sense of touch, and then the colors and forms, the taste, and the smell. These are the 5 ways we experience this world around us. Now, If one by one, if this sense organs ceases to function, suppose a person cannot hear from birth itself, cannot hear. So the world of sound is unknown to him. He can see colors and forms, smell, taste, and touch and feel, and so on. So the world of sound is unknown to him. So there are varieties of sound that is there in the external world that is unknown to him. If the sense of smell also doesn't function in this person, then the world of smell, different types of smell, foul smell, fragrant smell, and all those things, delicious smell, so that is unknown to him. He can only experience the sense of touch, the colors and forms, and the taste. And if he is born blind, then the world of names and forms and colors and forms is unknown to him. For him, the existence consists of only the sense of touch and the taste. And then, if he loses the sense of touch, then the soft, hard, rough, sharp, all those sensory perception of the touch is unknown to him. For him, as regards the world is concerned, it is only taste, that's all. And suppose he loses the sensory perception of taste, then as far as this person is concerned, the world doesn't exist for him. The worlds of names and forms, colors, smell, taste, touch, sound, nothing exists for him. So it is no existence. So as we reduce, suppose a person loses two or more of his sense organs, there is no point in living then, because there is no external experience. The sensory experience is not there. So our experience of the world is subject to our senses being able, functioning properly through our mind and intellect. Without that, it is not possible. So then there is no existence at all. So then we have to analyze. Now the external world is only available for a person whose five sensory perceptions are functioning properly. For a person whose five sensory perceptions are not functioning at all, for him the external world is not there. Now when the external world is not there for such a person, but he exists, because the sensory perception is not there, but his mind and intellect is very much active. He has got a body, mind and intellect is which is very much active, though now he cannot have any sense or perception. So the ability of emotions and thoughts are still there. So now when the external world is absent for him, then he has to turn inwards. That is easier. Because of the presence of the external world, it takes a lot of time for us to turn inwards. Mind is naturally extrovert. And if these five sensory perceptions are absent totally, then the mind has got no choice but to turn inwards. Actually, the spiritual quest would have been far easy if Maya Shakti would have exhibited only the veiling power, not the projecting power. Avarana only, not the Vikshepa. So, veiling the truth, that's all. And not projecting this world of names and forms. If that was not there, even with the sensory perception also, in the absence of the projected world of names and forms, the mind would naturally turn within in search of the pure self. That would have been easier. Now, if you imagine for a moment, if I cannot see or smell or hear or taste or touch, no of these perceptions are there, then the external world totally is absent for me. As simple as that. And then what am I supposed to do? Then there is only one way to go, that is within. Because external world is absent, so the mind cannot go into the external world. Then the only way left is within. Then it becomes easier. But then a seeker has to accomplish this with all the five sensory perceptions intact. That is where all the efforts come in. Otherwise, it would have been effortless. But living in this world, very much in this world, with all the five sensory perceptions, with their ability to function at the optimum level, and yet to withdraw from the external world and turn inwards. That is the most important thing. That is the difficult part. And doing that and turning inwards is all that is important for a spiritual seeker. So, the first step, of course, begins with analyzing the external world. And the second and the major one begins when we turn inwards, having analyzed the external world, withdrawn from that and turn inwards. That is the second step. So, we have to understand this. And then, of course, slowly when we go into our own true self, then like Hanumanji said to Prabhu Ramchandraji when he was asked, what is our relationship? So Hanumanji said, Deha buddhya tu dasoham, jiva buddhya tvamamshakah, atma buddhya tvamevaham, iti me nishchitamati. So when I am identified with this body, I am your das. When I am identified with the jiva bhava, then I am your part. And when I am identified with my own true self, then I am you, you are me, there is no difference. You see? So, this is when what remains now, after withdrawing from the external world, what remains is only the truth, the self, the existence. For a person who doesn't have the five sensory perception, only the mind and intellect is there, therefore he cannot deny his own existence also. So existence only is there, but that has to be ascertained, what existence it is. So example we can have like cotton, thread and cloth. Cloth will have different patterns. So a jiva is like the cotton, a cloth with different patterns. So jiva, Ishvara and Brahma Tattva, the absolute truth. So it is like the cloth with different patterns, then the thread and cotton. So as regards the cloth is concerned, different patterns are there, different identities are there. As far as jiva is there. But then those identities get lost in the thread, and the focus is on the thread. That is the Ishvara. And both get lost when the focus changes to cotton. Cotton doesn't have any particular shape like a thread or a cloth. But then without cotton, there is no existence for the thread or the cloth. So this Brahman, Ishvara and Jiva, they are basically one only. The form gives a different look to it. And then we identify as that. There is water, there is wave, and then there is an iceberg. Iceberg has got a form. Waves also has got an appearance. And water has nothing. No shape, no form. And then without water, there is no existence for wave or the iceberg also. So from Jiva, Ishvara to pure Brahman, that is the journey of a seeker. So This knowledge, this absolute knowledge, the pure knowledge, the pure self, it always existed. If somebody says that if all the books are destroyed, the knowledge will get destroyed. No, the knowledge doesn't get destroyed. The absolute truth doesn't get destroyed if all the books are destroyed. And books are anyway just indication, just an indicator, a pointers to that absolute truth. So if all the books are destroyed, that doesn't destroy the knowledge, the pure knowledge. That will always remain. So we have to understand that the great rishis, this knowledge always existed, and great rishis all realized it, and only its pointers or indicators are given in the books. So, and these books may be there or may not be there. If all these spiritual books are destroyed, that will not affect the existence of the absolute truth. That will still be there. And then again, there will be seers, there will be thinkers. They will again go back into their contemplation, dive deep into their own consciousness and realize the truth, because knowledge doesn't get destroyed. That will continue. So, this is the important factor that we have to always remember. It is not confined to any book. Presence or absence of book will not affect the existence of the absolute truth. So once we understand this, then, of course, books, of course, they guide us to a certain extent. Masters also guide us to a certain extent. But then what is the important part is we have to walk our own path. The guidance is there, but without we walking our own path, we cannot reach the destination. The pointers are there. When we travel on the road signs are there, showing this is going to Delhi, this is going to Kanyakumari, and so on. The signs are there. Looking at the sign or holding on to the sign, we don't reach the destination. We have to walk the path shown by that, pointed out by that sign. Then only we'll reach the destination. Now, as is the practice, the tradition in the scriptural study, it starts with invocation. We invoke the grace and blessings of that pure self, the Lord, the Absolute. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, Om Sahanam Avatu. So may he, the Absolute, protect us both. Now this is very important, the teacher and the taught, the Guru and the Shishya, the master and the disciple. So they both chant this. So here it starts with Om Saha Nav Avatu. May he protect us both. The teacher and the taught, they are praying, may he protect us both. Sahano Bhunaktu. So may we both enjoy the supreme, the absolute truth. Sahaviryam Karvavahe. May both of us put efforts into our studies, our reflection, our contemplation, and so on. And then, of course, Tejas Vina Vaditamastu. Tejas Vina Vaditamastu. So this, we should together discover this inner meaning. May it enlighten us through the study of this absolute truth, and may it be fruitful. Tejas Vina Vaditamastu. may it be fruitful. And we should be able to discover the meaning of this, subtle meaning of this scriptural text very well. Tejasvi, so brilliant. And then we should be able to understand and discover it very well. Ma vidvishavahe. Ma vidvishavahe. Let there be no misunderstanding between us, the teacher and the taught. Misunderstanding, or let us not waste time on useless arguments. Kutarka, that is called as kutarka. Vichitra tarka is vitarka, and this kutarka, funny type of arguments. So kutarka should not be there. Charcha discussion is okay, that is fine, but there should not be any misunderstanding, any kutarka. Ma vidvishavahe. Unnecessary, useless arguments should not be there. And then, of course, the three shantis. The shanti invoked that may be protected from the Adidaivik tapa, Adibhautik tapa, and Adhyatmik tapa. Adidaivik tapa, the natural calamities. Adibhautik tapa, that we get from our surroundings, from things and beings around us. And Adhyatmik tapa, that we get from our own body, sense organs, mind, and intellect. So, these three tapas should be shanta. So, protection from that also, these three tapas. Then, in the invocation, there is another mantra given here, another prayer also given here. Om apyayantu mamajnani mamangani. Om apyayantu mamangani. Vak prana chakshu shotramatho balam indriyani cha sarvani. Sarvam brahmopanishadam maham brahma nirakuryam mama brahma nirakarod anirakaranam astu anirakaranam me astu tadatmani nirate ya upanishadsu dharmaste mai santu to te mai santu. Om apyayantu mama angani वाक् प्राणः चक्षुः श्रोत्रम् अथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं मा अहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्. And then anirakaranam astu anirakaranam me astu तद आत्मनि निरते व उपनिषत्सु धर्म अस्ते मयि संतु ते मयि संतु. Now, spirituality is for those who are physically, psychologically, and intellectually fit. It is not for the weak. In Kenopanishad, it is very clearly said, Na ayam atma balhinena labhyaha. It cannot be attained by those who are weak. So, physically, mentally, and intellectually, we should be fit. So that fitness has to be there. Then what does it indicate? Many a times we can hear people say that when you tell them, I'm going for a satsang, how about you also coming for satsang with me? Then the other person will tell, no, I leave it in my old age, after retirement, in my old age. So, as we grow older, if we have not started when young, as for everything, if we have to do anything, if we have to accomplish anything in this world, we should be physically fit, mentally fit, and intellectually fit also to attain, to accomplish anything in this world. Similarly, on the spiritual path also, for spiritual sadhana also, we should be physically and mentally and intellectually fit. In the old age, when one by one the faculties start failing or weakening, when the body, mind, and intellect is not good for anything, that is why people at some point in time, in age, they retire. Because now they will not be able to perform as they were performing earlier in their activities, so they are retired then. Then youngsters will come up. So, when our physical, mental, and intellectual faculties are not fit to pursue the worldly pursuits, how can it pursue the spiritual pursuit? It's not possible. So, spiritual pursuit should begin in the youth itself, in the younger days itself, from our childhood itself, and not put it off for old age when the body, mind, intellect is not fit for doing anything else. Just lying down or becoming a coach potato, something like that. No. So, this is an important aspect. It cannot be put off. We often hear people saying that spirituality I'll put off for my old age or after my retirement. It doesn't work like that. So, therefore, spirituality should not be postponed. So the sadhaka should be fit and it should not be postponed. The earlier we begin, better. Of course, in the Grihastha ashrama, we may not find enough time, but at least some sadhana has to be there in the Grihastha ashrama also. Brahmacharya ashram, we may get time. Childhood, we are introduced to so many different types of prayers and rituals and certain things we do, depending upon which family we are born in and so on. And then some knowledge is imparted to us, no doubt. And then in the Brahmacharya ashram also, we are engrossed in studies. So, and then in the Grihastha ashram, we become very busy. So very less time will be there. But that spirituality has to continue in some form or the other. And then, of course, once we become vanaprastha, then nothing but spirituality. That is all that is to be done. So, this has to be practiced. So, Om Apyayantu Mamangani. So, may my limbs, my speech, my prana, my chakshu, eyes, my ears, the capacity, their capacity, balam indriyani, may it be strong enough at all time. Chacha sarvani, it should be strong enough. And then, constant grace of the Supreme is also required. So, Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam, Maham Brahma Nirakuryam, Mama Brahma Nirakaro. So, may I should not reject Brahman, nor should Brahman spurn me or reject me. So, both. Anirakaranam astu, anirakaranam me astu. So, let there be no denial. So, non-denial of Brahman in me should be there. And let it be from the other side also. And then, tad atmani nirate ya upanishatsu dharma hate dharma aste mai santu te mai santu. So, there should be no denial of Brahman. There should be no rejection of Brahman, no spurning of Brahman by Brahman. And then, let all the virtues that is given in the Upanishad, Upanishatsu dharmaha aste, so dharmaha te, so Upanishatsu dharmaha te mai santu, te mai santu. So let they repose in, may they repose in me, may they repose in me. So all the virtues that are given in the Upanishads, so may all that repose in me. So this is the prayer. It's a beautiful prayer. You see. So, with this prayer invocation, we begin the study of this text. There are, in the prayer, three things are there. When we are doing some karma, then again we invoke the Lord. Karma is anyway kind of a legalized doership. Then Upasana is there. Upasana is the enjoyer as the devotee. That is Upasana. So, a Brahmajnani rises above the one who is engaged in karma and the one who is engaged in Upasana. He rises above both these two. Now, having invoked His grace and blessings to begin the study of this, we begin with the first mantra. Om Kene Shitam Patati Preshitam Manah Kena Prana Prathama Praiti Yuktah Kene Shitam Vacham Imam Vadanti Chakshuhu Chotram Kau Devo Yunakti. Om Kena Ishitam Patati Preshitam Manah Kena Prana Prathamaha Praiti Yuktah Kena Ishitam Vachamimam Vadanti Chakshuhu Chotram Kau Devaha Yunakti. Now, Upanishads are, of course, the various attempts made by the different rishis over a long period of time, since ancient times, to express the inexpressible. So that which is beyond the name, forms, colors, attributes, it is beyond expression. But great rishis, they made an attempt to a seeker, so that for a seeker there will be some indication, some pointers, some direction in which to walk to get to the destination. Now, this Kenopanishad starts as the 9th chapter of the Talavkar branch in the Samaveda. The name Upanishad is common, but in front of the Upanishad, this Kena is added to that. Kenopanishad. So it has become Kenopanishad. Kena simply means by whom. So this Upanishad's name is by whom. By whom Upanishad? So Kenopanishad. So we have this, there is an Upanishad called as Prashnopanishad. So it is the Upanishad of questions, Prashnopanishad. This is Upanishad of by whom. So Kenopanishad. Now the sadhak state. What is the sadhak state? Now this sadhak who is asking this question to the master, the seeker who is asking this question to the master, he has thoroughly experienced his worldly life. And at some point in time, he started analyzing this worldly life, the reality of that, his experiences. He started analyzing. And then he started coming to certain conclusions. First thing that he came to the conclusion is that everybody wants to be happy in this world. Nobody wants to suffer in this world. Everybody wants to be just not at peace, but happy, positively happy. And then he saw that, he realized that there is no permanent happiness in this world. You experience anything, all the experiences are also temporary, momentary. The joy, pleasure, or happiness that comes is all temporary, momentary. It will last for some time, a few seconds, a few minutes, an hour or two, a day or two, and then we are back to square one. So first thing he realizes is that you put so much time, effort, and money to derive some kind of, to squeeze out some kind of joy, pleasure, or happiness from this external world. But it is not lasting. It is there, and then we are back to square one. Either we are bored or positively miserable there. The first thing he realizes is this: there is no happiness in this world, and yet all of us want to be happy, without exception. So this is a funny situation. There is no happiness in this world, or the so-called happiness that we seem to derive is only momentary, temporary. And even if that is momentary or temporary, whether it real happiness or it is just a feeling or imagination, that is also one is not sure. And it doesn't last. So this is how a person will become a seeker when he starts analyzing. You see, unless that analyzing comes to the mind, it doesn't happen. So now this seeker who has got this question in his mind to ask his guru, he has analyzed very nicely the external world and his own experiences of the external world. And many a times he must have got frustrated trying to seek or eke out some joy, pleasure, or happiness from this world. But then, after this frustration, he realized that there is literally no joy, pleasure, or happiness here. Then what is the purpose of existence? What is the purpose of we living in this world? If there is no happiness there, or whatever so-called happiness comes, it just is temporary, momentary, and then we are back to square one. And then leaving that, now the world, having realized it, some kind of vairagya has come into him. There is no point in rushing into this world seeking joy. It's all temporary, momentary. And then it gives a lot of pain also afterwards. Some sorrow and misery it gives anyway. So there is no point in seeking there. So some kind of vairagya develops. So his mind is not going out into the external world now. So now he has started thinking about his own self, about his own body, about his own sense organs. How is everything functioning? Now here, he is not talking about God. Is there God? Where is he? When did he create this world? Why did he create it? And how did he create it? His questions are not that. Now he is directly withdrawn from the external world. His question is directed towards his own self, about his own body, about his own sense organs. Are they functioning on their own, or there is some power that is directing, that is powering it? So he has come to this stage, and then he says he has also realized that sense organs on their own cannot acquire knowledge if the mind is not connected to that. That also he has realized. You see? So if he is looking in front of him, but he's thinking of something else, so mind is not connected with his eyes. So somebody known to him passes from his front, he will not recognize. Then he realizes that mind has to be connected with the sense organ. Then only he can derive the knowledge of that, not otherwise. And then he realizes that then what powers the mind? So this is the type of question that is coming to him. Kena ishitam patati preshitam manah. So directed by what power does the mind descend on the objects of this world? Kena ishitam patati preshitam manah. So coming from the sense organs and the pranas, now the mind also, how does the sense organ function? How does the pranas function? How does the mind function? What is the power behind that? And then Kena, and then when he realizes this, that something is there. Now, if he wanted to know more about the mind, without the mind, the sense organs, even though they are functional, the knowledge will not register without the mind being connected to the sense organ. So he didn't go to a mind expert, a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a mental expert or whatever. He didn't go there. Instead, he is approaching a spiritual guru. So, kena ishitam patati preshitam manah kena prana prathamah praiti yuktaha. How does this prana get energized? Function. The prana vayu has to function in different ways in the body. Prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana. So, how does it function? What is the power behind the prana also? Then, kena ishitam, vachamimam vadanti. So, by what power? Directed by what power does the speech function, or one is able to speak? Vachamimam, the capacity to speak. The power of speech come from. And then chakshuhu, the same with the eyes. What powers the eyes to perceive? What powers the ears to hear? What divine power? Kau devaha yunakti. What divine power operates behind these sense organs? The pranas, the mind. Mind here means mind, intellect both. The capacity to think, the capacity to feel, both. So now he approaches the Guru. Now this Guru Shishya, then again it is not easy. Guru Shishya also, relationship is not so easy. Or finding a Guru is also not easy. But actually, it is not when we go out looking for a Guru, then it will be a problem. Because how will we recognize one to be a Guru? A Guru can only recognize another Guru. A saint can recognize another saint. And we are just starting out on the spiritual path. How will we know? So it is very difficult. Therefore, one should not go for Guru shopping. Our ancients always have spoken of about this, finding a Guru. What they say is that when a disciple is ready, the Guru will appear. One of the two things will happen. Either the Guru will appear in front of him to impart knowledge, or the Guru will attract such a disciple towards himself. And one of the two will happen. You don't have to go for Guru shopping. Let it be that. Only thing is that we have to make ourselves worthy of a Guru by doing the practices that are required to find a Guru. Our sankalpa should be strong and things happen. This, from the personal experiences only, it comes. The sankalpa has to be strong, then everything happens. So a sankalpa has to be there. I want to walk the spiritual path and I want to study the scriptures, walk the spiritual path, realize the truth, and I need guidance. When our sankalpa is strong, then of course the guidance will also come in the form of a manifest or unmanifest Guru will always be there. In the life of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, both these examples come. When Ramakrishna Paramahamsa himself was ready for knowledge, Totapuri Maharaj appeared and imparted knowledge to him. And when Vivekananda was ready for knowledge, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa attracted him towards himself. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa didn't go to Vivekananda, unlike Totapuri Maharaj coming to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Vivekananda came to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So both these things happens, either the Guru appears or he attracts us towards himself. And this is how the Guru Shishya meet, and then begins a very wonderful journey. Wonderful journey, a journey without distance within our own self. See? So, most important thing is that when we are doing the Shravana sadhana, At the moment we are doing the Shravana sadhana, we are listening to the scriptures. When we are doing the Shravana sadhana, of course, we are listening to the scriptures from our master, from our guru, from the teacher. So this Guru Shishya Samvad is going on. Like in this Upanishad itself starts with a question asked by the disciple, asked by the seeker to his guru. So this is Samvad is going on, Guru Shishya Samvad is going on. But this after the Shravana sadhana, the real Guru Shishya Samvad is within. That is when the what was heard, the reflection goes on in that. The real Guru Shishya Samvad. So this has to go on within. Externally, now the disciple has asked his guru this question. And having heard, now after the Shravana sadhana is over, then he has to go. And then within goes on the Guru Shishya. Okay, I asked my guru this question and he answered in this way. This samvad is going on. And then again this doubt comes. So what would be his answer? And instantly the answer will come. This Guru Shishya samvad goes on within us, in our own minds. Many seekers have experienced that, and I'm sure some of you also must be experiencing the Guru Shishya Samvad within. This is very important thing. So this has to go on. Then very few know about the perfection subconsciously. It is always there in our subconscious mind. But we have no awareness of that. That is why we are seeking. The subconscious mind knows, to a certain extent it knows, but then we are not aware of it. But somewhere we are seeking something. We are not happy with the way the things are, the way our life is going on. We are not happy with that. We are seeking something. So then we start seeking, and then the question will start coming. We see so many things in the light outside. Then also we see when the sun goes down, after the sunset, when it's dark outside, then we switch on the light inside our rooms. In the light of the electric bulb or tube light, whatever, we see so many things also. That is okay, understandable. But what about the perception of the feelings arising in the mind and the thoughts arising in the intellect? What is that light which illumines the thought in our intellect? It is definitely not the sunlight. It is definitely not the tube light. So what is that light which illumines the thought in our intellect, the feelings in our mind? And of course, with our eyes closed and the room dark, and then we have a beautiful dream of a rising sun on a river bank, the sun rising from behind the mountains and all that thing. A bright sunny morning, we dream. In a dark room with our eyes closed, we dream. What is that light which illumines that dream with the eyes closed? So, such light, such questions are not easy to come without proper analysis. So here, the seeker who is asking this question, he has done some kind of analysis before approaching the Guru. So he must be on the spiritual path for some time. He is questioning himself, he is looking at the world, he is analyzing his own experiences, and then finally has come to some conclusion, and now he needs to ask this question to the Guru, and he has approached the master, and he has put this question to him. Now, the further ones we'll take up in our next session. If anybody has got any questions, so they may ask.
Hari Om, Swamiji.
Hari Om, yes.
Before Swamiji, I talk to you.
Hmm.
I would like to inform everybody
Hmm.
and to you also.
Hmm.
This study circle, we are entering into 54th year, Swamiji.
54th. Okay, you started very young, you see. Good.
19 January, Wednesday, 19 January 1971.
1971. Oh.
Uh, with the blessing of Satya Sai Baba,
Hmm.
Shama's father started a study circle at his house in Thar.
Hmm.
Then for nearly 30 years, it was there in his house. Then he grew old
Hmm.
and shifted to Yogi Bai's house
Hmm.
for next 5-6 years.
Hmm.
And since 2008, it is being run here in Parvati, where I stay.
Hmm.
And from 2020, Swamiji,
Hmm.
during pandemic,
Ah, yes.
Swamiji, you have taken here. So we are entering into the, of course, there are still 3 months to go because we started in May 2020,
Yeah, this online thing. So
online
using
thing.
the
So,
latest technology.
yeah, exactly. Now, thing is, Swamiji,
Hmm.
I was there at that time just 22 years old.
Hmm.
Today I am 75.
Hmm.
That study circle at Shama's father, he was known as Nanavati, surname Nanavati.
Hmm.
At Nanavati's house was always house full, Swamiji.
Houseful.
No place to even sit. People used to sit outside also.
Oh.
And then we were discussing, brother, he was conducting the class,
Hmm.
the Bhaj Govindam, and then so many books, Baba's books.
Hmm.
People used to enjoy, and so many people benefited after even 30, 40 years that ये
Hmm.
नानावटी का class में हम सीखा
Hmm.
है. Now, over a period of time, nearly 35, 40 members to now it has come to almost 8 to 9 songs.
Hmm.
That is as far as the participation is concerned.
Hmm.
But since we have gone from the bhakti to, say in short, bhakti to jnana, numbers have decreased.
Hmm.
And about 15 years back, I talked to Gopal Krishna Swami about that.
Hmm.
He said that study circle is a must.
Hmm.
Even if two students are there, you must have a study circle. And that is the inspiration for us to run even with the teen attendance. And I remember Tadrupanand Swami said once that in Ram Katha or Bhagavad Katha, you may expect 5,000 to 10,000 people. But hardly even 15 or 20 people come in this Gnan Yoga, Gnan Yagna.
Hmm.
That number is quite good. Anyway, but I must say that now survivor of that 1971 class is only myself and Shama.
Oh.
Uh, Other participants have come much later. So
Hmm.
what I have seen that we started from the base of the mountain in 1971.
Hmm.
And now, particularly after, in last 4 years, and as on today, I don't know, summit is not very, how far is the summit, but I'm quite sure it is not far at all.
No, it is not far. It is
It
not
is not
far.
far at all.
It is not
And
far in time and distance.
yeah, so if it is, it appears to be little distance,
Hmm.
then it's more in mind than in fact.
Hmm.
Acha. Now, Swamiji, after having said this,
Hmm.
last few days, particularly after coming from Tiruvannamalai,
Hmm.
the contemplation is going very strong, Swamiji.
Excellent.
And solitude. I love now my solitude now, Swamiji.
Hmm.
And in that solitude, something has come to me, revelation type of a thing. That when we see enter the theater, cinema theater, and watch the movie,
Hmm.
our attention is continuously on the picture which is going on.
Hmm.
But we rarely take notice of the screen.
Hmm.
We rarely take, as a matter of fact, never take the cognizance of the light and the film and the projector.
Hmm.
As far as we are concerned, as far as I am concerned, I am the projector, I am the light, and I am the screen, Swami. And my vasanas, my desires, my thoughts, particularly to the subtlest is the thoughts
Hmm.
that come through the space of my consciousness, space of light, or whatever you call it, or pure consciousness, whatever we say, is coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. My I, I faltered, and now also I faltered when I'm carried away by my thoughts. But if I become a witness to my thoughts,
Hmm.
if I become witness to my action, the and do not lose the sight of the focus of the mind of pure consciousness or the light. I think I have done, I feel that I have done enough to be near my true self. Swamiji.
Hmm.
And this is the only sadhana which is required now.
Yes.
That we engage in this world physically and mentally,
Hmm.
but do not lose sight of the fact that I am the light, I am the pure consciousness, and within the space of consciousness, this is all happening. And I must have my mind at my control, not control, but be just a witness.
Hmm.
Sadhana will become very easy, Swamiji.
Hmm.
We call about the prarabdha karma, prarabdha vasana, all those things. But if mind is under our control,
Hmm.
in the sense that if we can learn the technique of being a witness to whatever that is going on in the space of our mind,
Hmm.
I think we are scaling a good deal of sadhana. This is I really wanted to share with you today.
Hmm.
And you tell me, Swamiji, whether have I faltered or is it the correct way of doing sadhana now particularly when we realize all those things,
Hmm.
what you taught us in the last 2 years. Yes,
Hmm.
Swamiji.
So, as I have mentioned earlier also, seeking begins a spiritual path we walk. It begins by being a sakshi, witness. Earlier, of course, we were getting too much involved into whatever is happening outside and within also. Now we start
Mm.
becoming a witness not only to what is happening outside, but what is happening within our mind and our intellect also.
Yes.
See, so that is the first step. When you start being a witness, then we don't flow with that. Only when we are not witness, then we get identified with what is happening, and then we get involved into that. We start flowing with that. We get affected by that. So the first step is always, as a seeker, is being a witness. When we start becoming a witness, then having been a witness, then the journey within becomes easier. Without being a witness to what is happening in our mind and intellect, we cannot go within. So this is the first step, and then that we have started. And today's discussion also, we came across that Guru Shishya Samvad should go on within. So this is an important aspect. So once we are being a witness to what is happening outside and within, and then only then the discussion is between us and our teacher. That goes on. The Shravana Sadhana we have done, no doubt, but this Samvad has to continuously go on within. That is part of Mananam, where the doubts starts getting cleared. This is an important aspect. So then we'll continue with this Kenopanishad. Actually, when as a spiritual seeker on the Jnana Yoga, of course, we study the Prakarana Grantha first. And then when we come to the Upanishad, this is the first Upanishad to be studied, Kenopanishad. After Kenopanishad, only the other Upanishads follow. But we have done Ishavasya Upanishad and Kaivalya Upanishad also. Anyway, now we are doing this Kenopanishad. It is good. So now shall we conclude?
Yes, Swamiji.
Sorry, Swamiji, I could not hear a lot of it because I had guessed. I'm just hearing the last glimpse.
It doesn't matter. You'll get the recording so you can hear.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Swamiji,
Yes.
Swamiji, you were talking about the senses currently and the loss of senses, how it affects our external experience as well as our internal.
Yeah.
So, in that, you were citing that a blind person with external forms, yes, accepted. But why names, Swamiji? Because names is something which can be heard also.
Yeah, names can be heard, but then since he cannot see, he cannot associate it with any form.
Okay.
Name is always associated with a form. And therefore, since the absolute truth is formless and attributeless and colorless, it can't even be named.
Okay. Okay. And
Brahman is just a working name.
okay. And how do we position sixth sense over here, Swami?
Yeah, then we come to this called as intuition. We'll come when we go further into this Upanishad, we'll come to the part of intuition also.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Thank you, Swamiji.
okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Harihi Om.